So today we're going to take a look at what's going to happen if the Swedish Empire reunites in the modern day. First of all, I want to say that these borders might not be 100% accurate. Also, all the events that are going to happen in this video are purely fictional. All major alliances also will be disbanded. But yeah, now let's get right into the video. First thing that happens here is that the Swedish Empire sends an ultimatum to Finland, basically demanding their annexation. The Finnish do accept the ultimatum because otherwise they would have gotten invaded by Russia. And for the Finnish, it was better to join Sweden rather than joining Russia. I don't know if I said it correctly, but there we go. Finland is no more, unfortunately. The Russians are very unhappy with whatever's going on, but as of right now, they're not going to interrupt. And yeah, back to where we were. We can see that the Swedish are still stabilizing their country, and we're just going to assume that after a few decades, the Swedish Empire is going to be stabilized so that they can go on military campaigns, and they're just going to do that. After this whole stabilization part, we can see that the Swedish Empire is now militarizing their country, coming up with military reforms, recruiting new troops from all over the country, and also investing in a navy, a very formidable one. And a few more decades go by. After all this time, we can see that the Swedish Empire is ready for their first military campaign. For this one, we can see that they declare war on Norway, which looks absolutely hideous right now. They've been cut into two parts. Before even the war began, the northern parts go ahead and surrender. Sup, North Mapper. But yeah, down in the south, we can see that the Swedish troops are now pushing into Norway. They push in and eventually capture the capital city of Oslo. The remaining parts of Norway surrender. Pretty easy fight. And in a peace negotiation, we can see that all of Norway got completely annexed. This too. Things are going great for the Swedish Empire. But they won't stop their expansion. After a few more years of the Norwegian invasion, they go ahead and declare war on Denmark, purely for expansion purposes. And again, we can see that the Swedish troops now push in. Copenhagen fell, unfortunately, alongside with this entire island. The remaining Danish army was also destroyed, and the rest of the country surrenders. Denmark got annexed into the Swedish Empire, and just because of that, they also now have Greenland. So yeah, things are going great for the Swedish Empire right here. Although now, the Russians and the Germans both are not happy. Russia has lost a significant amount of land here. This was very important for Russia, and so do the Germans. They're not happy with all of this, but they're not going to be doing anything for now, as the Swedish Empire still wants to expand. After making their navy even better, they go ahead and declare war on Iceland. We can see that the Swedish navy now has arrived on the coast of Iceland. They make a naval landing right here. They also make another one right here. These troops now push in, eventually taking the capital city of Iceland. These guys also push in. These troops meet up, and after losing pretty much everything, the remaining parts of Iceland surrender, as there was nothing left to defend. Iceland too got completely annexed, and now all of the countries in the north are under the Swedish control. Things are going great for these guys, but yeah, they're still not going to stop here, as they have some weaker neighboring countries, specifically talking about Latvia and Lithuania, and no one's there to stop them. Or there might be someone to stop them in the future, but as of right now, there is nobody. And so, once again, for expansion purposes only, the Swedish now declare war on Latvia and Lithuania. Latvia surrenders without a fight, and things are not looking good for Lithuania, as we can see that the Swedish troops now push into Lithuania, taking all of the Lithuanian coastline. We can see that they also push in from here, taking all of these regions, and now they push in from all sides. Slowly, Lithuania is losing land, and after all of this chaos, the remaining parts of Lithuania also surrender. This was another decisive victory for the Swedish Empire. Latvia and Lithuania got completely annexed into the Swedish Empire now. That's about it for the weaker countries that they bordered. They've taken pretty much everyone out, and yeah, that was about it. No one else. Maybe not everyone. We can see that a few more years go by. The Swedish Empire was still militarizing their country, and after all of this time, they go ahead and declare war on Belarus. Now, this might not be the best decision that they could have taken, at least for as of right now. By declaring war on Belarus, the Swedish Empire has now finally triggered Russia to get involved, and so, quite unfortunately for the Swedish Empire, Russia now declares war on them. But the better part was that the Swedish Empire was prepared not to fight Russia though, just to fight Belarus. So yeah, let's see. We can see that the Swedish troops now push into Belarus, and they're trying to get to Minsk as soon as possible so that they could start focusing on Russia. While on the other hand, we can see that the Russians are now pushing into the Swedish Empire. They almost cut off the Baltic parts of the Swedish Empire from the main empire, but there are some armies up here who still defend this place. The Swedish Empire accelerates their push down south, but still, the Russians also start pushing into Finland. This push was very unexpected, and they were able to gain a lot of land. We can see that finally Minsk was taken, but Belarus still does not surrender. surrender, as they also have Russian fighters in the country, but they are losing land down here. Up in the north, we can see that the Russians continue their push, although right here they're losing ground, and the Swedish also start their own push into mainland Russia. Up in the north, the Russians now continue their push down south. Their goal is to get to Helsinki and to cut off these parts of the Swedish Empire from the mainland. Eventually down in the south, Belarus got split into two. This other half surrenders, but a new fresh army from Russia arrives on the front lines, pushing these guys back once again. And unfortunately for the Swedish, they lost the city of St. Petersburg because they were heavily outnumbered. And thus, these armies are only relying on the navy. The Swedish are winning battles down in the south, but up in the north, we can see that the Russians are winning. Eventually getting to Helsinki, these armies meet up. These parts of the Swedish Empire surrender, and for as of right now, they are stalemated. A few more months go by, and the Swedish Empire says that either they're gonna have to put everything into this war, or they're gonna lose everything. They send their armies to the front lines. There is still a stalemate going on in the south, but up in the north, we can see that the Russians are finally getting pushed back by the Swedish, and the Swedish Empire is actually doing a pretty good job at it. They now push down in the south, retaking St. Petersburg, but this is pretty much what they could do. There are more armies coming from Russia, as they are way stronger than the Swedish. The Swedish Empire is now being pushed back down here in Belarus. But yeah, both sides are very exhausted right now, and they want peace with each other. They're gonna have to seize some lands, or maybe not. Forgot to color in Kaliningrad. But the war just ended. This could have changed so many things. But pretend that the Swedish took it out. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Okay, so now let's take a look at a peace negotiation. Okay, so in a peace negotiation, we can see that Russia got its access back to St. Petersburg, which is great for them. However, Belarus pretty much lost half of their country, and this peace negotiation is in the favor of the Swedish Empire because it's their video. But this war has deeply weakened the Swedish Empire. It'll take them a few decades, and they'll get better than before. And after all of this time, we can finally see that they are ready for a very major military campaign. And this time, they're gonna go after Poland. So let's see. We can see that right away, the Polish were able to take all of these parts of the Swedish Empire. But over here, we can see that the Swedish Empire is now pushing in, and they're pushing in from all sides. Seems like they were well prepared. The Polish army also gets to the front lines, and these guys are stalemated. But the superior Swedish navy now makes a naval landing over here, and thus Poland is fighting a two-front war. This army now pushes around, securing more and more regions. And when the Polish split their armies, the Swedish push in from here, and their goal is to get to Warsaw. Eventually, we can see that the Polish were too overwhelmed, and they have two armies coming towards their capital city. These areas were also retaken, and after a very long battle, we can see that Warsaw was finally taken. These parts go ahead and surrender. The Swedish did not want all of Poland, and so we can see that they're now going to draw a peace negotiation. So now let's take a look at this peace negotiation. And in a peace negotiation, we can see that all of the northern parts of Poland were completely annexed. The remaining country has now been released, and this is the Swedish Empire at its peak. So this is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and tell me what you guys are going to see in the future. And thank you for watching.